Alright, what's going on, you guys? Brian back here with another recap video, recapping last night's episodes of AEW Dynamite and NXT. So, I actually watched both episodes today. Today is Thursday, January 21st, 2021. So, let's just get into it. I'm going to quickly run through everything that went down on both shows. I'm going to start off with AEW Dynamite. So in 8-man tag team action, we saw the Dark Order teaming up with Hangman Adam Page to defeat Chaos Project and TH2, the Hybrid 2. Dark Order and Hangman Adam Page picked up the win in that one. We had a Chris Jericho and MJF interview talking about the upcoming Inner Circle Triple Threat Tag Team Challenge that would see three different teams from the Inner Circle competing, and to see who would be the team to represent the group in the AEW Tag Team title division, and that would be in the main event. Then we had, we had Sting and Darby Allin in an in-ring segment that would be interrupted by Team Taz, where Taz would challenge Sting and Darby Allin to a street fight. And it was confirmed today that at the next AEW pay-per-view event, which is Revolution on February 27th, Sting will make his in-ring debut wrestling for AEW, as it will be Sting and Darby Allin, the TNT champion, taking on Team Taz's Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, I believe, in a street fight. So that is going to be huge. That is a huge match signed for AEW Revolution. So as I get comfortable here, then we had a in-ring segment. Sorry about that, guys. We had a bit of a segment at Kenny Omega's house involving Don Callis and the Young Bucks, where Callis tried to buy off the Young Bucks, giving them a check. The Young Bucks were not having any of it. Of course, there has been dissension or trouble in Paradise with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Don Callis. Of course, I believe it was last week or the week before. The Young Bucks were supposed to team with Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, as the Elite, but then they would get replaced by the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, the Impact World Tag Team Champions. And they blamed Don Callis for that. Some other stuff happened during this segment, but it would end with the Young Bucks walking up towards Callis, like, trying to back him into a corner, and then you would hear Callis scream. So that was it for that segment. Cody Rhodes defeated Pretty Peter Avalon in one-on-one action via submission. We had an FTR and Jurassic Express backstage segment that would see a match being made for next week between Dax Harwood and Jungle Boy for next week. John Moxley would defeat Nick Camarado. We would have a Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer backstage segment where Eddie Kingston was being interviewed about his match against Lance Archer next week. Archer would come up, the two would start arguing, to where Jake the Snake had to pull back Lance Archer, and basically told Eddie Kingston, you want to run your mouth, then do it next week when it's one-on-one. So that's another huge match set for next week on Dynamite. Then we had a Don Callis and Kenny Omega backstage segment where Omega saw Don Callis' eye, saw a bruise on his eye, and he basically asked Callis who did it. Callis name dropped Matt and Nick, and as if to blame the Young Bucks, and that was pretty much it for that segment. Then Matt Hardy and the number one contenders to the Impact World Tag Team Championships, Private Party, defeated Top Flight and Matt Sydal in six-man tag action. Yes, you heard me right. I said number one contenders to the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championships. Private Party are the number one contenders to those titles, and they will get their opportunity at the Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, on Saturday, February 13th, as at the uh, Impact Plus special No Surrender. So that is a huge match for Impact Wrestling, as AEW's Private Party will look to dethrone the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, for the Impact World Tag Team Championships on February 13th. That, of course, is the night before NXT TakeOver, which is on Valentine's Day, which is February 14th. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Then we had an Inner Circle backstage segment, um, talking about um, the upcoming Triple Threat Tag Challenge and a lot of the trouble that's been going on between in the Inner Circle. Then we had Penelope Ford taking on legit Layla Hirsch. Penelope Ford would wind up winning this one over Layla Hirsch. Afterwards, Miro told his butler, Charles Taylor, who is Chuck Taylor, um, to basically tell Orange Cassidy that Miro is now his best friend. So that was it for that. Then the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, they would attack Penta El Cero Miedo backstage. Then in the main event, Chris Jericho and MJF defeated Sammy and Hager and Santana and Ortiz to become the team that will represent the Inner Circle in the AEW Tag Team Division. So now, moving on to NXT. Real quickly, we had a couple of rounds in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic for both the men and women's. We had Kushida and Leon Ruff defeating Austin Theory and the NXT North American Champion Johnny Gargano. We heard from Pete Dunne, who basically made it clear that he wants Finn Balor and the NXT title. We had Karrion Kross defeating Ashanti Adonis. During this match, Adonis apparently suffered some kind of injury, and him and his tag team partner Desmond Troy are out of the Dusty Classic, and they will be replaced by Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa, who will be competing tomorrow night in the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, as they take on Arya Daivari and Tony Nese on 205 Live, which will be immediately following SmackDown. We saw a promo for MSK. I think it's Wes Lee and I forget their names. They're the former Rascals, or 2/3 of the Rascals from Impact Wrestling. I think it's Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz. So I don't know I forget what their names are in NXT, and I do apologize. If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments below. We heard from Tony Storm and Mercedes Martinez, who were in action last night in the first round of the Women's Dusty Classic tournament, as they took on Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. Lucha House Party defeated Imperium in the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Classic Men's Edition. Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter defeated Tony Storm and Mercedes Martinez to advance in the Women's Dusty Classic. We had a Finn Balor and General Manager William Regal segment where Balor said he wants Pete Dunne, but in order to get to Pete Dunne, he wants Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Regal told Balor that you can have your match, but you need to find a partner, and he found one a little bit later on in the show when he would go into the Undisputed Era's locker room and basically ask Kyle O'Reilly to be his partner. So O'Reilly accepted. So next week it will be Kyle O'Reilly and the NXT champion Finn Balor taking on the NXT Tag Team champions Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Then we had Bronson Reed defeating Tyler Rust. We had Legado del Fantasma and Lucha House Party in-ring segment where Legado del Fantasma were in the ring cutting a promo. They would be interrupted by Lucha House Party. Then, when it turned into a 3-on-2 attack, 205 Lives 205 Lives up and comer Kurt Stallion, he would come out to make the save. Then in a backstage interview, a little bit later on in the show, Santos Escobar, upset, challenged Kurt Stallion to a match, and he'll put the cruiserweight title on the line. So next week, that is another huge match set for next week as Santos Escobar defends the cruiserweight title against Kurt Stallion. Then we heard from Drake Maverick and Killian Dane, who talked about they're going to win the Dusty Classic. And then in the main event, it was Timothy Thatcher defeating Tommaso Ciampa in the NXT Fight Pit via submission when he trapped Ciampa in one of the corners of the fight pit and locked in the stretch muffler for the victory. And then in a exclusive on their YouTube channel, Ciampa confronted Thatcher back in the parking lot, saying why didn't Thatcher didn't break his leg, and he basically said he did it out of respect. He saying about it was about respect. So obviously there is a respect there between Thatcher and Ciampa, and now how will they coexist in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic? So that was pretty much it for this week's episodes of Dynamite and NXT. Both shows I thought were good. There were some parts on Dynamite that really I didn't really care for. There were NXT I thought was really good. So with that being said, this has been my recap of what happened on last night's episodes of AEW Dynamite and NXT. As always, I am Brian, and if you guys watched last night's episodes, let me know what you guys thought of them in the comments below, and I will see you next time.